let's talk about a really powerful idea from Thomas Troward's classic, The Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. It's about a fundamental shift in how we think about our own minds, especially in those moments when we feel totally and completely stuck.
You know that feeling, right? A problem lands in your lap, and your first thought is, okay, this is all on me. I have to come up with the solution, the energy, the willpower, all from scratch. It's incredibly isolating. It's like you're just one single, finite battery trying to power an entire city.
Well, Troward actually had a name for that feeling. He called it the isolation mindset. He saw this belief that we are these disconnected, separate fragments as the #1 error in how we think. And that's the very thing we're going to unpack and find a powerful alternative to today.
So in the next few minutes, we're going to explore a completely new way to see your mind. We'll get into exactly how to make that mental shift to ease the pressure and unlock a more creative flow. And I'll leave you with a simple, practical exercise you can start using the second this is over.
Now, the solution Troward offers isn't some complex, hard-to-grasp theory. It's a simple but really practical mental model. It's the idea that our mind has two distinct but connected sides to it. And understanding how they work together is the key to moving past that feeling of being all alone.
So first, there's what he calls the universal mind. A great way to think of this is like the electricity available in the power grid. It's just pure, formless potential. It's not a specific thing, but it's the creative energy that could become anything. It's the source of every new idea, every insight, every solution. And then there's the individual mind. That's us. If the universal mind is the power grid, then our mind is the appliance. It doesn't create the electricity, but it draws on it and gives it a specific job: to become light, to provide heat, or to power a computer. Our mind is the channel that gives a specific shape and direction to all that formless potential.
Now, these two parts of the mind aren't separate. They're in a constant conversation, a back and forth that Troward called a reciprocal relationship. The universal mind is always offering creative potential, and our individual mind is what receives it and shapes it. The quality of our thought is what determines what we create from that universal source.
So, putting this into practice is really all about a simple but profound shift in perspective. It's about moving from seeing yourself as an isolated creator to seeing yourself as a creative channel. Let's take a look at what that shift actually feels like. On the left, you've got the isolation mindset. That's the source of the pressure, the limitation, the fear, that struggle to find a solution. But on the right, we have the channel mindset. Here, the thought is, I am a channel for creative ideas. This way of thinking feels connected, supported, and stable. It leads to so much less stress and way more innovative problem solving. The real key is just making that conscious shift from the left column to the right.
Okay, so this sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in our daily lives? Let's make this really tangible with 3 common examples where this little shift can make a huge difference. First up, work. We've all been there, right? Staring at a blank screen or a tough project, just feeling completely out of ideas. The isolation mindset screams, I'm empty, I've got nothing left to give. The shift is just a simple, quiet, internal statement of intent. Instead of trying to force an idea, you just reframe your mind's job. You affirm that you're open and receptive to whatever creative solutions are needed for this project. You're basically just opening the door instead of trying to build a whole house from scratch.
And the outcome? Well, by releasing that pressure to create from nothing, you just allow a natural flow to happen. Insights and new perspectives start to show up, often when you least expect them. It feels way less like a struggle and more like things are just naturally unfolding.
All right, next, let's look at relationships. When a conflict pops up, that isolation mindset puts the entire burden right on your shoulders to figure it all out, to find the perfect words, to fix everything completely on your own.
But with the channel mindset, the shift is pretty profound. You move from trying to be the source of the solution to being a channel for the principles that create a solution. Things like understanding, patience, and clarity. And when you do this, you just show up differently. You're calmer, you're more present, you're less reactive, and that changes the entire dynamic of the interaction. It opens up these new, more constructive paths forward that you probably wouldn't have even seen when you were caught up in the struggle.
And finally, let's talk about building better habits, because this is a big one. The isolation mindset frames this as a battle, your limited personal willpower against some massive urge. And honestly,
That's often a losing fight.
The shift here is to stop seeing it as a personal fight. Instead, you align your thoughts with a universal principle. You're not trying to generate discipline out of thin air. You're becoming a channel for the very principle of discipline and well-being. You're embodying a strength that already exists, not inventing it.
And the result of that alignment is that the new habit starts to feel less like this forced effort and more like a natural expression of who you're becoming. The internal resistance just drops away because you're no longer fighting, you're flowing. So, how can you start putting this into action, like right now? Here's a very simple two-step practice you can use anytime you feel that sense of isolation or stuckness creeping in.
First, the channel step. Just identify one area where you feel blocked. Take a breath, and instead of wrestling with the problem, just quietly state to yourself, I am a channel for the perfect solution here. That's it. Second, the choice step, and this part is crucial. Consciously choose to trust that this process works. Let go of the need to manage and control how the solution will show up. Your only job is to hold the intention and stay open. As we wrap this up, I want to leave you with the single most important idea that ties this all together.
Troward's work is basically telling us that our personal growth, our evolution, it isn't about becoming more separate or more powerful on our own. It's about deepening our recognition of our connection to this larger creative source. True individuality is found in how we uniquely express that universal potential.
So here's the key takeaway. Your mind is not just a container that can be filled or emptied. It's a connection to an infinite source of potential. The question isn't, what can I create from nothing? The real question is, what will I choose to channel today? We're going to explore the concept of will in our next explainer. You can find that one and more in the full playlist. Thanks for tuning in.